Welcome to the fourth episode of OTD, your daily dose of soccer history by 17 Laws Guy. Today is November 4. It's 1967, and we are in Montevideo, inside the Estadio Centenario, the very ground that staged the first FIFA World Cup final in 1930, and where Celtic and Racing Club returned just 3 days after splitting the first two legs of the Intercontinental Cup. This neutral playoff decides the world's club champion, and it will descend into one of football's most infamous afternoons. But to understand what went down here, we have to start with the first two acts. Celtic, the Lisbon Lions, arrive off a season for the ages: Scottish League, Scottish Cup, League Cup, and the European Cup, won by coming from behind to beat Helenio Herrera's Inter by 2-1. A team built almost entirely from Glasgow and its surrounds, coached by Jock Stein, playing fearless front foot football. Racing Club arrive as kings of South America, champions of the 1967 Copa Libertadores under Juan José Pizzuti. Tactically fluid, combative when required, a blend of old heads and young legs. Alfio Coco Basile stepping into midfield from centre-back, Roberto Perfumo marshalling the backline, and Juan Carlos El Chango Cárdenas, tall, mobile, and drifting to find space. Racing saw this as a national mission. Argentina had never been world champions, at club or country level. The Intercontinental Cup was born in 1960 by UEFA and CONMEBOL. It was two legs, not aggregate, and if each team won one match, you played a neutral side playoff. This format, plus the increasingly violent Libertadores of the 1960s, made sparks almost inevitable. Act 1 in Glasgow, and Celtic strike first. The first leg was played in front of more than 83,000 at Hampden Park. Celtic, roaring and relentless, win 1-0. Billy McNeil rises above Basile to head in from a corner. Tough tackles, yes, but within what Britain then called a hard game. Advantage Celtic, 1 win to 0. Act 2 in Buenos Aires, and Racing draws level. The second leg in Argentina was played at Racing's El Cilindro. 120,000 packed the stadium. Hostility was in the air before a ball was even kicked. During warm-ups, Celtic keeper Ronnie Simpson is struck by a missile from the crowd and cannot play. John Felon step in. Inside the game, Racing lean into the dark-arts, wrestling for every inch, spitting, sly digs, and Celtic feel suffocated and enraged. Racing win 2-1. That evens the series, 1 win each, and triggers the playoff 3 days later across the Rio de la Plata. On the bus after the match in Buenos Aires, Celtic players feel the danger and the futility. Some even say, "Give them the cup and let's go home." Jock Stein says no. Neutral ground, we play. Act 3, in Montevideo, the Battle of Montevideo. Estadio Centenario, November 4th, 1967. Both teams are spooked. Racing remember violent nights here against Nacional. Celtic have just been through the winger in Avellaneda. The crowd of 70,000 is mostly hostile to the Argentines. Uruguay had recent beefs with Racing in the Libertadores. It is combustible from the first whistle. The Paraguayan referee, Rodolfo Pérez Osorio, senses it's slipping early. After a sequence of fouls, he effectively decides to, quote, balance the game at the next flashpoint. 1 from each side goes. A brawl pops. Alfio Basile is sent off for Racing. Fair, given a terrible challenge, and Bobby Lennox of Celtic is also shown red. Bewildered. Jock Stein tries to shove Lennox back on, twice. Only a policeman with a drawn sword persuades him off. At halftime, 10 players boach, but no goals. After the break, Celtic's Jimmy Johnston, kicked and tugged all evening, spins free, flails an arm in the struggle, and is shown a red card. Celtic down to 9. Then the moment of footballing beauty. In the 56th minute, a ball sits up at 30 yards for Cárdenas. He draws the left foot across it, the strike arcs and rips into the top corner. 1-0 for Racing. In a match like this, the goal is almost surreal, pure technique dropped into a street fight. Then the descent. Frustration boils. John Yogi Hughes walks up to Racing keeper Agustin Sejas and punches him in the stomach. Straight red. Celtic now 8. More scuffles, more spitting, more grapples. A late flash sees Bertie Auld and a Racing player sent off. Auld refuses to leave, milling around as if nothing happened. By most counts, it finishes with 8 Celtic players versus 9 for Racing. Official red cards generally listed at 6. Either way, the match reports indicate a brawl, but when you watch the videos, it was bedlam. Full time, Racing 1, Celtic nothing. Racing take the playoff and the world title. Their lap of honor is cut short by missiles from the stands. Police charges clear path to the tunnels. It is over, but no one feels clean. For some of the people inside the storm, there was Jock Stein, incandescent on the touchline, yet stubbornly committed to playing the playoff. He wanted that global crown for his team. He left Montevideo convinced the Intercontinental Cup wasn't worth the stain. Alfio Coco Basile was sent off here, but later became Argentine manager, the only coach to ever call up both Diego Maradona and Lionel Messi to the national team, in 2 separate periods, it should be said. And he won back-to-back Copa America titles in 91 and 93. Juan Carlos Cárdenas, scorer of the decisive goal, a moment that crowned Racing and shadowed the rest of his life. He became a cult figure, his strike replayed whenever Argentina revisits its club legends. Then Ronnie Simpson and John Fallon, a grim symbol of the second leg's environment, hit in the warm-up, replaced by a capable deputy who then faced the storm. For Europe, Montevideo 1967 and the similarly violent clashes that followed poisoned the well. Through the 1970s, several European champions withdrew from the Intercontinental Cup rather than face another war. In 1980, the format moved to a single match in Tokyo, the Toyota Cup. Eventually, that tradition merged into the FIFA Club World Cup, and earlier this year, we had the expanded 32-team version. A glossy, globalized descendant of nights like this, scrubbed off the barbed wire, but chasing the same promise, world champions. Celtic's aura has only grown. They've won 13 of the last 14 Scottish League titles. Yet this season, both Celtic and Rangers, by the way, are chasing an excellent hard side at the top. Racing, too, has tasted modern glory. 2024 Copa Sudamericana champions, and most recently, semi-finalists of the 2025 Copa Libertadores. Yet their domestic form in Argentina this year has lacked their continental punch. Football history never sits still. Reputations are forged in one era and tested in the next. Celtic and Racing are both great football teams. The tragedy of November 4, 1967 is that we saw very little football. We saw fear, pride, gamesmanship, and one gorgeous left-foot strike that decided everything. In a structure that rewarded brinkmanship and in an era that romanticized doing what it takes, Montevideo became a cautionary tale. It also became Racing's immortality. That's all for the 4th episode of OTD, your daily dose of soccer history. Want more OTD gems? Got an angle you like on the show? Then drop an email to otd@17lawsguy.com. And please follow, rate 5 stars, review, and keep football history alive by sharing with a friend. Thank you.